Hello, delivery family. Welcome back to our channel. My name is Kevin, and this is my lovely wife,
Leah, and this is why we deliver.
Now, today we have an interesting topic that we want to talk about, and that is pet peeves. Things that drive us either both or either crazy when we're out delivering. And the first one I wanted to talk about, Leah, is feedbacks. What is your opinion of feedbacks?
So mine is kind of a mixed opinion because I like the feedback that I get on one app, but that's the only feedback I like. All the rest of the apps I don't like.
Right. And I'm assuming you're talking about Instacart for the
Yes.
feedbacks that you do like.
Yes, I do like the feedbacks on Instacart because actually all of them that I have are specific, like thank you so much for helping me today, things like that, those good positive things. I haven't had any negative ones on there yet, but I'm sure my time will come. But for and this and they kind of match up their star ratings and the compliments and stuff that they can give you. But the other apps tend to be more negative, like especially Uber Eats and DoorDash. They tend to be more on the negative side of if you get any actual feedback. But I think we only get stars and stuff on those ones, right?
Yeah, so we can get negative feedbacks from DoorDash and Uber Eats. In fact, we had one of two negative feedbacks the other day on Uber Eats, and that's kind of rare for us on Uber Eats. These things used to bother me; they don't anymore because feedbacks. Guess what? They don't really matter.
It's
They're
just their opinion.
It's just their opinion. Whether you do an outstanding job or not, some people just don't care. They're not going to give you 4 stars, 5 stars. They're going to give you 1 star and hope to get a free meal out of the deal. And that's just part of dealing with rude people. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. But if you get a negative feedback, don't take it personal because it happens to every single one of us. And it's just not something that you need to worry about. Now, all of us are out there, hopefully, to do a good job, and that is primary importance. You're going to have times, though, where even if you're trying to be perfect, guess what?
You're not.
You're not perfect. You're going to mess up once in a while, and that's just part of being human. So get used to getting the negative feedback now and again, especially on DoorDash. That used to, like I said before, that used to bother me a lot. But anymore, I don't even hardly even look at the feedbacks because I just found that they're really a waste of time.
Yeah, and just remember too that people leave feedback for all kinds of reasons. It might not be something bad that you did, it might not be something that you have any control over. Um, are we giving experiences right now?
Well, we could talk about an experience, but I just wanted to go off what you said. I mean, there might be a day where you did everything perfect, 100% right, but their dog died, and
Yeah, they're having a bad day.
you're the one getting the negative feedback because they're just not having a bad day. But go ahead and go with your point.
Well, I was just thinking that we've had negative feedbacks from people based on that we delivered their food, and somewhere in between the delivery and when they went to the door to get their food, someone came and stole their food. Okay, not really our problem. We left it how you had asked us to do, and but that, of course, is going to make you mad. And then they call you and yell at you, they leave bad feedback. And there's really nothing you can do about those things. It used to be on some of the apps that you could have the companies remove those bad feedbacks if they didn't own up to anything or add up to anything. They didn't actually say anything as to what was bad. They just did a 1 star rating. But now they won't do that. So, which is fine. It doesn't really matter. It's, you just do the best that you can.
And regardless of if it's a negative feedback or not, unfortunately, everybody has the right to their opinion. And whether you agree with their opinion or not, okay, they still have the right to their opinion. And so don't worry about it. Just get over it. move on from it, and try to do awesome every time that you can, even though we're going to mess up once in a while. The last thing I want to bring out, though, about feedbacks is there's no way that they're fair to you as a delivery driver because you have any way to respond to it. So
That's true. None of the apps give you, will tell you exactly what they said, or why they gave you, 1, 2, 3 star review. And like, there's nothing you can do about it. There's absolutely nothing. And um, they won't tell you what you did so that you can do better the next time. So, it's just kind of how it is, and you just do the best you can each time.
yeah, I think both of us would agree that we'd like to get the opinions from people because we want to improve. We want to be the best we can.
Yeah.
But just to get a 1 star, just because that's not cool. So that's a pet peeve. All right, number 2, other people working the apps and talking nonstop on their cell phone out loud in the store, lollygagging around, not doing their job. That is a pet peeve of mine.
That I've noticed, and I think that honestly is more of a Florida thing that I've noticed, because when we were working in Oregon, I did not see that at all. You saw the people working, but it wasn't like they had their phone out and they were talking. But for some reason down here, people who are working have their cell phones and they are talking on their cell phones to somebody else the entire time that they're shopping, working, and no matter what industry you're in here, that's what they're doing. And I'm not sure why that is. It's something new to us, but yeah, it's kind of gets a little irritating. But
That's probably something that's actually showing my age because my generation, we were raised by the baby boomers, right? So they just imprinted that on our heads that if you're doing a job, then you need to be focused on the job. But again, that's just my pet peeve. Maybe you do it, maybe you love it, and maybe you're successful at it, and that's fine too.
yeah, and I've tried it. When if I ever go by myself, which I don't anymore, I've like tried to call people and talk to them while I'm working, and it just honestly kind of gets in the way, and so it's hard to do. You're multitasking, and you are not giving another person your full attention if you're trying to do that and work on these apps at the same time.
So remember, the ultimate goal, right, is to make money, and the best way to make money is to be focused on the job that you're doing, and this is your job, and so you want to do the best you can do because you want to make as much money as you can with the time that you have. All right, point number 3. I think this is a no-no by app standards, and that is people working with multiple phones at one time. Mm-hmm. The other day, while I was in a restaurant, a guy walks in and he has not 1, not 2, but 3 different cell phones that he's working from. Now, customers get very upset and are going to leave you 1 stars and 2 stars and say bad things when your food is 45 minutes late. And guess who's doing that?
It's the people running multiple phones.
Yeah, because they're going from.
You can't keep up with everything.
There's no way to do it.
I agree. We run 3 apps at a time, but we still, when we take an order, it's the focus on that order. Rarely do we take orders from multiple apps at the same time. We're only having them running so that we can get the work to start with, and then we focus on that we have.
Yeah, so my personal advice to you is don't do that, because what you are going to do is put yourself in jeopardy eventually of getting kicked off the apps, because if you get enough negative feedbacks, they will kick you off and they will ban you. And sure, there's workarounds for all that stuff, but don't do it. Just do it the right way and you won't have to worry about it. All right, the last area I want to talk about is kind of a general area, and we'll just title it liars and cheaters. Okay, so within that general area falls dealing with Karens and Kens, okay, the infamous tip baiter, and scammers. Now, Leah and I have had experiences with all of them, and if you do this long enough, you will have experiences with all of them. Okay, Leah, I'm not very good at dealing with Karens and Kens. You would agree with that, right?
Yes.
Okay, so usually if there's a Karen or a Ken in a situation, Leah will take the forefront on that and deal with it because she has a good demeanor about keeping people calm. I've been known to pour some gasoline on the fire, which is not a good thing to do. But Leah, how would you recommend to a newer driver to deal with a Karen or a Ken? First of all, can you define a Karen or a Ken?
Um,
you had a run in with one today.
they're not super definable because they're kind of across everything, but basically those who kind of feel entitled to more than what they get and think that they're special and that they're not accountable for anything that they do.
Okay. So there's our definition.
Now what was the rest of that? Sorry.
How you deal with them.
How I deal with them.
You don't want to deal with them the way I do.
I think the biggest thing is to put your customer service hat on and be the nicest that you can be. Ask questions if they're really like, you did this wrong, the best way to describe it is in an example. I had a person who, we got the order on Instacart, we shopped the order, we delivered the order. After that, I get a message from them that says, "Where's the rest of my items?" Well, they had intended on getting these BOGO items, buy one, get one items at the store, but in their quantities that they ordered, they only ordered one. Okay. On Instacart, that is the proper procedure. If you go to the store, shop for somebody, you get the quantity that they ask for. Unless they don't have that many, then you can adjust, but you don't get more than the quantity than they asked for. Well, this person was very mad that we did not get their second item when they had only ordered one. And she was saying that I should have done it anyways, or you saw the signs. And I said, I'm sorry. I followed Instacart's policy to only get the quantity that you ordered. And I think a lot of what my stuff is pushing it back on the apps that I'm working for. Instacart doesn't allow this. DoorDash doesn't allow this. Uber Eats doesn't allow this. Spark doesn't allow this. Don't take on all the blame yourself, because it's not always going to be 100% your fault. Could I have halfway through the store asked her if she wanted these BOGO items? Yes, I probably could have. But I'm also shopping 15 to 20 orders a day. I don't have time to stop in every single order and say, do you want this BOGO item? So, and I have tried in the past and they don't respond to me. So it's not always going to be your fault. Just remember that you're working for these other people. This isn't your company that you can just do whatever you want with. This is their company. And when I reached out to customer support, that's what they said, that I did it correctly and that they would take care of things.
Yeah.
So,
again,
that's just how things happen.
That's how you're supposed to deal with it. You deal with it the best way that you can. You don't pour gasoline on the fire and escalate the situation. We see that a lot in our society. Don't do it. Don't be like me. Although I've gotten better, but don't be like me in that, okay? So be like Leah. Okay, the infamous tip baiter. Now, if you don't know what that is, Leah, can you explain what a tip baiter? This is probably my number one, even above the Karen and Ken thing.
Yeah. So tip baiting is when someone will place an order on one of the apps. They have this large tip on there, so people will accept their order to go and get it and bring it to them. Say it's a $10 tip. Every single driver is going to be like, heck yeah, I'm going to go get that. But then after you have fulfilled your end of the deal, they go back into the app and remove the entire tip. That is the basic of tip baiting.
So that's a scam, a liar and a cheater, in my opinion. They don't leave any comments. They just say, I got you, and they pull the money. It doesn't happen a lot.
It doesn't. And I think only twice.
Down here, it's been twice on Instacart that has happened.
Yeah.
And once on Uber Eats.
Once on Uber, so 3 times. But don't lose your cool with those things. Go to customer service, say, hey, I delivered this at this time. There was this amount of tip on there, and now they have removed the entire tip. I have done nothing wrong. I will say Uber Eats doesn't really care because the customer can adjust the tip anytime after. They have like 24 hours to adjust their tip. Instacart does care. They will reimburse you a certain amount. And then I don't think we haven't had it on the other two, so I don't know.
No, DoorDash, you agree to what you agree to, and that's what you're going to get.
Yeah,
on
they
DoorDash.
can't reduce the amount.
They're not going to reduce it, which is one really positive about DoorDash. And
Spark, I've never seen anything.
I don't think we've ever had something like that happen on us. Okay, and then the last one I want to talk about, and this happened at one of the worst times for us, and that was dealing with a stupid scammer.
Yeah.
Okay, so we just started Instacart. Almost, were we doing full time at that time? I don't remember if we were doing full time, but it was a week where we as a family needed the money. Like we were hustling.
Yeah, it was DoorDash.
It was DoorDash, yes. And I will say this very positive without telling the whole story. The DoorDash took care of us that week, and I really appreciated that because we needed the money that week, and we were out busting our tails with DoorDash, and $500 was scammed from us. And I want you guys all to be aware of these idiot scammers because they're everywhere. We know this. So, Leah, how did we fall prey to the scam on DoorDash?
Well, I have to take accountability for this one. So DoorDash and probably the other apps as well will never ask you for your passwords. They will never ask you for a verification code that they send to you. But like he said, it was early on. It wasn't something that we were accustomed to. And we got a call. And they said, hey, something's going on with your account. Hey, I'm going to send you a verification code. Just, get that to me, and then I can discuss this with you.
I want to interrupt you.
I will say, other companies do, and it is legit. Not other delivery companies, but other, like, outside of that. I have had that be legitimate.
So when this phone call came across the phone, it said DoorDash customer service or something like that, but it said DoorDash. Again, we were really rookies at this point.
Yeah.
And so we took it not knowing that the moron scammer was going to take us for a ride. And they did.
Yeah. So what they ended up doing was getting into our account and changing the bank information to where the money goes when it's automatically deposited. And I didn't catch it until right before it happened or right after it happened. But I couldn't get in to change it or something like that. But again, DoorDash took care of us.
Yeah, so I do have to give it up for DoorDash on that particular thing because getting scammed, most Americans know about these stupid scammers. They are number one on my pet peeve of people to deal with. But you need to be aware of it. So if you get a weird phone call after you make a delivery, before you make a delivery, and they ask for any kind of information, don't do it because you're going to get scammed and it's going to cost you money. And if it's not DoorDash, I don't know if they're going to have your back. So be careful.
And the thing is that when you call and talk to customer service, they have all your information already. You do not have to give them anything. They know where you're at. They know what delivery you're on. They can see all the deliveries you've done throughout the day. So they're not in the dark whatsoever. They can see everything. You do not have to give them information for them to see your account.
So those are our top pet peeves. Did I miss any?
Not
that I could.
No, I know that like the grocery stores get a little frustrated with drivers and stuff, or Instacart shoppers, I should say specifically.
Yeah.
Because they tend to be a little bit more disorganized, and they'll have just loads and loads of stuff, which does happen, but we tend to be a little bit more organized.
I just want to address that one issue, and then we'll get off. But let's talk about how we organize our carts.
Okay, yeah.
So go ahead. Usually, I'll grab the cart, I'll get organized with putting a green basket in the top.
Or a small, like, handheld basket.
Sorry, a handheld basket. Not every green basket at Publix, But we'll put one in the top, and if there's a third order, we might put one underneath as well, and then we'll maintain the organization. There's other things that we do to stay organized. Leah, can you talk to them about some of the other things in the cart?
Yeah, so especially if we have what's that? Customer pickup at the store order, like we're going to leave it at the store for them to come pick up later, especially then. But we will keep all the cold things together, keep all the frozen things together, keep all of the shelf stable stuff together. Um, and I think we have just found it easier that if you just like put your cart, like organize stuff as you're putting it in the cart, it just goes so much better. It's not a mess.
And keep an eye on the line, because as it's progressing, your food's moving down the line. Make sure you keep an eye on it, because the cashiers and the beggars, they're trying to do a good job, but sometimes they get a little out of whack too, and they can start combining orders. So
one other thing,
yep.
Let the cashiers know if you are doing shopping orders for Instacart or Spark or whatever. Let the cashiers know that that's what you are, because it's harder to reorganize bags of food afterwards to make them all together in your colds and frozens and stuff. So if you have to leave them after the fact, but if baggers and the cashiers know that that's what you're doing, then they will do their best to keep things together and take care of you.
And again, if you want to get those 5-star ratings and get all those good comments, that's a good way to do that. All right, well, that's all the time we have for today. We appreciate your time. And if you have any comments or questions down below, let us know, or you can send us an email probably.
Email, comment. Yeah, I think those are the two main ones.
All right, we'll talk to you guys later. Have a good day.
Thanks.